Hey guys, thanks for watching the Son and Tim show. He's Son, I'm Tim. We're back to talk about head coach Matt Nagy. All right, Son, if the Bears lose this week against the Packers, do you keep them or do you throw them out?
Throw them away, dude. Hell yeah, throw them away. If
Yeah.
they if they lose to Green Bay again, fall to 8-8, fall out of flame out of the playoffs, yes, 100%. So let's break this down really quick. Look, I know he's got an over 500 record. Mitch is looking good. Whatever. The Bears are improved. They've always played hard under Matt Nagy, but it is a results based business, Tim. First year, 12-4, win the division. Next 2 years, 8-8, flame out, no playoffs. Okay, so let's quickly talk about let's talk about the Bears versus Green Bay, and this is why this game is so big, and this is why I say that jobs are on the line, Tim. Because beating Green Bay over the course of the last 30 years is a really good benchmark to see whether or not you are a playoff team. And not only that, you have to win your divisional games if you are a playoff team. And right now, he's had 3 years. Matt Nagy has had 3 years to graduate this Bears team. And if we lose to Packers and we flame out of the playoffs and we don't make the playoffs, we're just back to square one again, Tim. Look, there's a precedent that's been set for this. Lovie Smith was fired after a 10-6 season. He's had a Super Bowl appearance and playoff appearances. Matt Nagy's had one playoff appearance in 3 years, lost that game, right? And also has what I said earlier, a bad record against the Green Bay Packers, which should be the benchmark for whether or not your team is graduating to that next level. How bad against Green Bay? Well, he would be 1-5 against Green Bay. Let me ask you this question, Tim. How do you think John Fox fared against Green Bay? What was his record?
I don't know.
In 6 games, 1-5. How about Mark Trestman? Let me just go down the list, Tim. Mark Trestman, 1-3. How about Dave Wanstead, 1-11? How about Dick Duran, who, by the way, did have one playoff appearance, right? 2-8. And those two wins, we had Jim Miller and Cade McNown as quarterback. The only coach that has had in the last 30 plus years that has had any success against the Packers is Lovie Smith at 8-10. If you take Lovie
Yeah.
Smith out of the equation and you go straight from Dave Wanstead, so post Mike Ditka, from Dave Wanstead all the way to Matt Nagy, the Bears are a combined 6-31 against Green Bay. That just doesn't get the job done. What did Lovie Smith say the first time when he was hired by the Bears? The first thing he said, we have to beat Green Bay.
Yes.
That's true, Tim. We have to beat our
Yes.
rivals, and we have to beat them because they're in our division. We constantly are behind the 8 ball 0-2 every year against them. We can't play like that. And this is a results-based business, Tim. And if he can't get the job done against some of the better teams, then I don't see how we could keep him. And let me go one step further. Teams that show that they could graduate to the next level all have a signature win. They
Yeah.
all do. If you can look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's they actually smashed Green Bay around. They've got a signature win. You look at the Rams. They've got two signature wins, I believe. I believe they beat the Seahawks and they beat somebody else. Or maybe it was, no, I take that back. It was the Cardinals, Tim. The Cardinals have two signature wins. They beat Seattle. They beat Buffalo. How about the Bears, Tim? Who have the Bears beaten? They've beaten, I guess, Tampa Bay. You could, if you want to call that a signature win, I think that's a
Yeah.
little 50-50. That was a Thursday night game. Tom Brady's getting old, forgot what down it was. They were potentially driving to kick the game-winning field goal. So many things happened in that game, but they didn't. But to me, that doesn't necessarily quite make it to the level of a signature win. What I like to call a signature win is a win against a division leader, any of the division leaders. And we've had chances, Tim. We lost to Green Bay. We lost to Indianapolis. We lost to Tennessee, right? We lost to the Saints. We could have beaten any one of those teams. We didn't get the job done.
Yep.
So basically, Matt Nagy is a coach that can beat up on the little guys, can beat up on the minnows that are swimming around the bottom of the NFL, but cannot raise the game to play in the big games and win those games. So, I mean, what are we going to do, Tim? In the worst case scenario for me is if they decide to bring Matt Nagy back, he's got to be on the hottest seat starting right away. Because if you ask me, he's got to be gone. If you can't beat Green Bay, you can't elevate your team to that next level. I'm not even talking about a Super Bowl team, Tim. I'm talking about just like to be a playoff team, Tim, you need to have a signature win. The Bears don't have one this year. They didn't have one last year. Did they have one in 2018 when they went 12-4? Yes. They beat the Rams, the team that went to the Super Bowl that year. They don't have a win like that. Matt Nagy does not have a win like that on his resume outside of 2018. Listen, Matt Nagy, thank you for your service. You've been a wonderful coach. It's been a great 3 years in Chicago, but we need somebody that's going to graduate us, and it's not been him. I don't know. What do you think, Tim? Do you think that Matt Nagy?
The Detroit Lions said that a couple of years ago when they fired Jim Caldwell. 2 playoff appearances, 2 first-round losses, 9-7 finishes a couple times. How are they doing right now, son?
Well, they're the Detroit Lions. I mean,
no. Let's put a different name under them. Like that X team does the same thing, and now they're where they are. How does that look?
So what you're saying is we're no better than the Detroit Lions? We're doing the exact same thing.
I'm just saying, hey, this guy's a 29-21 record in 3 years. Okay. Yes, he was kind of a victim of having a great defense his first year. That's not his fault. He galvanized the team. He won Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year candidates or winners don't get fired after year 3.
Matt Nagy was also Coach of the Year in 2018.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm referencing. I'm referencing him being Coach of the Year in 2018. Coaches of the Years don't get fired after 2 years after he's the coach, unless they're going 4-12, 4-12. Dude, bad franchises make rash moves again and again and again and again. This is how you turn into the Browns. This is how you turn into the Jets. Things aren't going well for a couple of years. We're going to get rid of our coach. We're going to get rid of our GM. Cycle through. Same old thing happens. You keep wanting to graduate, but maybe the problem is not just the coach, it's higher up. That's really the problem. I can't put this on the coach here because this dude's 42 years old. Yes, he's had a bad couple of years, more or less here or there, and yes, he has been stubborn. Beating Green Bay is a great barometer. But look at the offensive talent he's been given. I'm not going to put it all on him in those ways. He seems like he's a dude, and you talked about it. He's a leader of men. And you know who else is a leader of men? And I'm not going to compare them exactly, but they kind of remind me, they kind of have some parallels in that. Mike Tomlin. Once he doesn't call plays, he knows how to motivate his teams and push the right buttons. When Matt Nagy finally, and this is an issue, and this is part of the reason why he might leave, when he finally stubbornly let go and fired himself from offensive play calling, at that time, he became the Mike Tomlin of the organization, the CEO coach who motivates the players, makes the correct calls on the sidelines, challenges plays. He's getting better at that. At 42 years old, a guy who didn't have much play calling experience, much coaching experience before he came to the Bears, he's growing. He's growing. He's making changes. He's finally, I feel like he's seeing the light. And to fire him when he's made these changes to help Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky, I don't think a lot of coaches, regardless of, I don't think many coaches would have been able to do great things with him. But I can't let go of somebody like that at his age who has shown progression in different areas because he's the kind of dude who goes back to Kansas City, takes over for Andy Reid, and gets 3 titles with Kansas City. That he just has some sort of intangibles that If you're going to hire another dude, I'm worried we're going to lose the culture of the locker room. I'm worried he's going to lose that connection to the players. Players aren't going to fight for this other dude as much. These players love Matt Nagy. Even after he calls out the defense a couple weeks ago, they're still saying to the media, we respect the hell out of you. This guy does not change. He's endured a 4-game losing streak and a 6-game losing streak. Bad coaches lose their locker rooms. He hasn't. He's had them stronger together now than before. I don't fire a dude like that. Yes, he may go 8-8, but I saw improvements at the end of the year by the offense. I have to see what he can do moving forward, and if he continues to show those improvements, this is the kind of dude who can get better and better and better as he gets going as a coach.
So then Tim, let me ask you this question. When you talk about the fact that you don't think that Matt Nagy has quite had the level of players on the offensive side, then how do you explain their 12-4 season, and why did they regress 4 games the following season?
That's okay. So part of that problem was the fact that Pagano wasn't as good as Fangio. There was a huge drop in defensive play. Part of the problem too is he tried to make, and this is like we talked about, he tried to turn Mitch Trubisky into a Kansas City type quarterback. Bring Mitch Trubisky into his scheme versus into what he's good at. And he's stubborn as hell. That's part of the reason. It's a big part on him.